Hello, dear students. My name is Asu Altunoğlu from Open Education Faculty. In this video, I'm going to summarize chapter 1 of our book, Turkish Politics. The chapter is called Some Prefatory Notes on Turkish Political Life. Actually, we're going to make a little introduction to Turkish political life in this video. In this chapter, our aim is to acquire an understanding of the Turkish political life through discussing the typical characteristics of it. What are the typical characteristics of Turkish political life? They are ideologies, subject position, economy, history, and the interrelatedness of these institutions for political subjects. As you know, political science is a rather new discipline. It is related with power relations in a given society. It's only developed in the last century. And political science examines politics as a social institution and the functions of politics for society. So the functions are very important for the reproduction of society. What are these functions? And what is the relation between these functions and the other institutions in the society? This chapter is going to examine politics from this aspect. And the interrelatedness, what does this interrelatedness means for political subjects? By subjects, the author of this chapter means citizens. The subject in political life can be a man or a woman, poor or rich, or maybe young or old, educated or uneducated, conservative or liberal. It doesn't matter. We use this term to indicate that they are not only voters through election times, but they are politically behaving individuals throughout their lives. Okay. Let's talk about the institutions mentioned in our book one by one and their relation with political life and Turkish political life. Let's talk about culture first. Culture as a related institution to political life. Every society has its own culture, as you know, and every society has its own unique culture. But as culture, we don't mean something which is not changing, unstable, and not changing. We think culture like a living organism. It's always open to change, and it is always in interaction with other cultures and other institutions of the society. Culture is a powerful element in the formation of political life. It may also come to create a source of conflict in political life and sometimes used as an area to legitimize certain political struggles. For example, in Turkey, sometimes political struggles are represented as debates of differences in lifestyles, because lifestyles is a phase of culture. We think of them as cultural conflicts, but they are actually political conflicts. Another institution this course is trying to, and this chapter is trying to relate political life is history. History is the content of time, as you know. History may sometimes be a burden on our shoulders with its shameful acts. But it's also usually a very good source of national and collective ideology and personality. For example, the historical legacy of the Ottoman Empire for Turkish state and the Turkish society. This legacy is largely acknowledged by our society. Modern Turkey, as you know, inherited a lot of modernized administrative structures and administrative institutions from the Ottoman legacy, but also we inherited a pile of problems from the Ottoman history. And these problems, as well as these institutions and administrative structures, continue to influence Turkish political life, both in inner politics and international politics. Next, we need to mention political ideologies as an aspect of Turkish political life. In the last decades of the Ottoman history, there were three prevailing ideologies, friends. They were Ottomanism, nationalism, and Islamism. The end of the empire, of course, resulted in the end of Ottomanism too. And the secular attitude of the new state, the newly founded republic, resulted in the decline of Islamism in the same way. Therefore, nationalism became a dominant ideology. Nationalism was outlined well by Ziya Gökalp, as you know. Ziya Gökalp outlined it as Turkism, actually. Turkism was nationalism with a strong desire for westernization, but the desire was not enough because it wasn't enough for realizing the westernization attempts. That's why the new republic needed another ideology, which is again nationalist, and that was Kemalism. Kemalism was invented, which was still nationalist, with the addition of folkloric and some economic elements, and also the cult of Atatürk as the father of Turks was added as an element into nationalism to invent Kemalism. When we come to 1950s, with the transition to parliamentary democracy, we see other ideologies such as socialism and liberalism, and also a reassertion of Islamism. But when we look at the other decades, we see that socialism developed to become stronger first a bit, but it was weakened after the 1980 coup. And liberalism and Islamism, though, remain to become dominant ideologies, important tenets of Turkish political life even today, especially through the long AK Party dominance after the year 2002. Okay, let's talk about another aspect of Turkish political life mentioned in this chapter, and that is the tradition of coup d'etat. Turkey has a long history of coup d'etats. The coup tradition in Turkish politics is partly related to the soldier nation myth created by Turkish nationalism. The Turkish army directly intervened in Turkish political power in 1960, 1971, 1980, 1997, and also indirectly in 2007. In the year 2016, however, there was an unsuccessful attempt by a hidden organization, a hidden network operating secretly in the army and bureaucracy. Okay, finally, the last aspect that we need to talk about as in relation with a social institution is economy. There is a very strong, undeniable relation between economy and politics. When we look at Turkey, of course, we need to talk about capitalism. Although capitalism at the beginning showed a real slow development, today it's not wrong to say that capitalism is fully articulated in Turkey. Turkish economy has fully articulated into the world capitalism as a world system. Thank you. That's the end of chapter 1.